How much does it cost to change your transmission fluid? One of the most crucial components of your automobile, truck, or SUV is the transmission. You can avoid spending hundreds of dollars on repairs over time by keeping it well maintained and operational. The transition by automakers to low-maintenance transmission designs that make fluid replacement challenging is one factor that makes this more complicated. Owners' manuals containing ambiguous language do little to clarify the situation. So, let's learn about the cost to change your transmission fluid. If you get your transmission fluid changed at a nearby dealer or service, the cost ranges between $95 and $400 on average. However, if you have the necessary equipment and technical know-how, you can do it yourself for a far lower price, typically for well under $100. Depending on the car model, it may be necessary to change the filter and clean the pan when changing the automatic gearbox fluid. Both of these components become contaminated with time, decreasing the efficacy of the new fluid. With the change, not all stores will provide these services, so you must be particular. These services may also be more expensive, but they are worthwhile. Your car's transmission aids in transferring the engine's power and torque to the wheels and tires. It resides in an automatic transmission fluid, ATF, bath. Since the fluid is specifically made for its purpose, many manufacturers demand that their fluid alone be used if it needs to be changed. Like all automotive fluids, the price of transmission fluid has increased dramatically over the past 10 years as synthetic formulas have become more common. The phrase, "change the fluid," is used in this story, but what we truly mean is, service the transmission. Some transmissions have a filter that needs to be changed, cleaned, and replaced. Altering the fluid can maintain the internal components functioning properly. Service center versus DIY. You will be forced to take your car to a professional service shop if you are unable to perform your own vehicle maintenance. Compared to doing it yourself in your garage, this will cost more. Furthermore, certain service centers will cost more than others. You will pay more at a dealership or a garage dedicated to a specific brand than you would at a neighborhood car repair business. The time you spend without a car while it is being repaired is an additional expense. The downtime could cost you money whether you wait at the store or return for it, especially if it prevents you from working. Make, model of vehicle. You wouldn't imagine that the cost of changing your transmission fluid is influenced by the kind of car you drive. However, there are explanations for why specific brands cost more. First of all, some cars make the process of changing the transmission fluid more difficult and labor-intensive. Additionally, especially with luxury cars, the transmission fluid filter or fluid type could be more expensive. Type of ATF. There are various fluid varieties and prices to choose from. For GM, Ford, and Chrysler, the most popular types are Dexron V, Mercon V, and ATF Plus 4. However, your specific car might use a proprietary CVT fluid or a multi-vehicle synthetic fluid, both of which might affect how much it costs to change the transmission fluid. Additionally, Type F, which has no friction modifiers, is used in vintage Ford models. Amount of fluid. Depending on the kind of car you drive, you may need a certain amount of fluid. Between 3 and 6 quarts of transmission fluid are often required. You will require far less if you drive a little, compact automobile than if you drive a large, powerful pickup truck. Your service handbook will have precise details. Cost of labor. For your region, you could anticipate paying significantly more than residents of another state, depending on where you live. For instance, the labor costs for auto repair are among the highest in Washington, D.C., Connecticut, and California. On the other hand, if you reside in Ohio, Michigan, or Indiana, you may anticipate paying some of the lowest charges. Where in the state you reside also affects how much it costs to change the transmission fluid. For instance, if you live in a city, you'll probably pay more than someone who visits a rural vehicle repair business. How do you determine whether transmission fluid flush or change is best when the auto mechanic shop offers both options? The transmission flush enables the replacement of all the fluid in the transmission and related components. However, a routine transmission fluid change will only replace roughly 70% of the whole fluid, leaving some pollutants behind. Even though it might not seem sensible, changing the transmission fluid is frequently a better option. First off, flushing fluid through an automatic transmission under high pressure runs the risk of damaging it. That's exactly what may occur if you bring your car to a sketchy repair facility. Furthermore, during the trans-fluid flush, the transmission fluid filter is typically not changed. Due to this error, tainted debris that has been sitting in the filter will mix with the fresh fluid. As a result, the fresh fluid may quickly become contaminated and unclean. The majority of automakers advise against flushing and instead advise performing routine transmission fluid changes. The manufacturer recommends replacing both the filter and 70% of the fluid every time. Although you might save a little money by doing this, the transmission won't stay clean. Spend a bit more money and complete the task properly. The condition of your transmission is worth the price, after all. If you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.